The original Fantastic Four movies are not bad, and I will die on this hill. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, before we get into it, can you please subscribe to my channel? I do like weekly pop culture videos and a bunch of shorts and a bunch of stuff that I'd love for you to check out, right? You can also support me on Patreon while you're at it. Just get around the channel, you know, thumbs up, comment, all of that stuff. It'd be great to have you on board. Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion recently about the Fantastic Four, particularly because they are joining the MCU and the cast has just been announced. Pedro Pascal, of course, leading the team as Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the Fantastic Four in the MCU. That being said, back when I was a kid in about 2005, there were two superhero movies that came out around the same time. The first one was the Pixar film The Incredibles. Absolutely iconic movie, loved it, awesome, amazing, great, other synonyms for great. The other one was Fantastic Four. Now, at the time, because I was just a kid, like, I didn't know that Fantastic Four was one of the most long-running and popular comic book series of all time. So I actually remember being like, oh my god, Fantastic Four totally copied The Incredibles. Like, they have a stretched person, they have an invisible and force field person. It's such a copy. And then I remember my dad being like, nah, Fantastic Four is like really old. It's actually The Incredibles that... Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That's just a fun side story. Here's the thing though, I was gutted as I grew up when I learned that those original Fantastic Four movies, particularly the first one, were considered bad movies. Like, they were considered not good movies, which I guess is what a bad movie is. Because I'm not gonna lie, this movie, Fantastic Four, when I was a kid, was one of my favorite movies of all time.
Now picture that, but everywhere.
I hadn't seen it in a very long time and I decided to rewatch it. I think it really holds up. I will stand by this. I think it's a very good movie and I think you've slept on it, you've underrated it, and you need to change this. There are so many things that make this movie work, especially in comparison to the 2015 Fantastic Four, which is utter trash, by the way. That one actually sucks. But I think we got to start with the casting in this movie. I actually think Ioan Gruffudd is the perfect Reed Richards. It's actually going to be hard seeing Pedro Pascal, who I think will fit, but I do think Ioan Gruffudd played such a great Mr. Fantastic and actually just looked exactly like, if you read the comics, I feel like that's what he looked like. Michael Chiklis is the thing I think is perfect casting. Mwah, could not have done it better. This guy is like, he's got that gravelly voice. He's like bulky, but he's sweet. You can feel that he has a heart and he cares about his friends. And I feel like he did the thing so well. Chris Evans at the time was an up-and-coming actor. He was new, he was arrogant, he was swaggy, he was handsome. Perfect Johnny Storm, and he plays the part so well. He brings the swag of this character to life on screen, and I genuinely feel like this was his best MCU role. I mean, he was good as Captain America, I'll give you that, but he was really good as Human Torch. And the most underrated, I think, was Jessica Alba. Rewatching this movie, I think she actually carries a lot of this movie. I actually think she's one of the strongest performers, and I always remember thinking that Jessica Alba really disappeared from acting kind of after Fantastic Four. At one point, she was like one of the biggest new actresses in the world, and then all of a sudden it was like, nah, she's not in anything anymore, which I thought was weird. I think she carries this movie. I feel like a lot of people criticize her performance, but I feel like she really carries this movie.
Excuse me?
And as a Fantastic Four origin story, I think it nails every part of it. I think the whole thing of them discovering their powers and the viewers learning their powers for the first time, but it also has those classic kind of superhero movie cliche hints to their powers. Like, there's a lot of quotes throughout before the powers where, you know, Dr. Doom says to Reed Richards, oh, Reed, you're always stretching. You know, he's always like reaching for the stars, trying to do too much. It's like, you're always stretching. Oh, wow, his power is stretch. Sue Storm talks to Reed Richards about how she always felt invisible and overlooked in their relationship. And there's also a few little scenes, like the first time we meet Sue Storm's character in the movie, she just kind of appears. She just appears at the back of the room, right? Surprisingly, and everyone's shocked by by her entrance. And I actually thought that was a good little like, oh yeah, she's invisible. She just sort of blends into the background, which is actually kind of hard to believe with someone like Jessica Alba, who is so stunning that you wouldn't believe that she would blend into the background like that, but I believe it in this movie. I feel like Johnny Storm is the most obvious one, just with his out loud, extroverted, he's confident, he's almost arrogantly confident, as I said, and I think that shines through his character before he learns he can turn on fire, right? Like the ultimate showy thing. And then the thing, like he's very stiff, like he doesn't want to wear the space suits because he thinks it looks like the ballet, like that traditional, like stoic, masculine kind of figure who's there to protect his friends, but like, you know, doesn't like the ballet or singing or anything like that. I think they developed the characters so well in this movie, so when they get their powers, it really feels earned, and then learning about their powers and understanding them as well is just a really fun journey in this movie. I don't actually know why it's so panned critically, because I genuinely enjoy it and think it's great. There are some really heartfelt moments, particularly around the thing. His partner like leaves him and it's really sad, and you can really feel the pain in him. That scene where he first reveals his new body to his wife and she is just scared and shocked. You can feel the pain within him, and I really think he performs that so well. Not to mention the relationship between Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Like the movie shows us they've broken up at the start of the movie, right? Like, and you're learning about their relationship, in which case you learn about them as individuals as well. I should also mention the special effects. Like, I don't think this has aged badly. I think some of these special effects really work even today in 2024, 20 years on. The stretch animations are really good on Mr. Fantastic. I don't think we've really had a stretch superhero in live action since this, except if you count John Krasinski in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where he actually plays Mr. Fantastic, but you don't see much. Here, like, you really feel the rubberness of Mr. Fantastic, and I think they do a really good job. All of the fire is really great, and the Thing looks good. Like, he doesn't look bad by today's standards. Like, an example is, like, you go and watch those Ninja Turtles movies from the 90s, and I just think the Turtles look so stupid by today's standards, whereas I feel like the Thing holds up pretty well. Like, how else would you do him? Even the force fields and the invisibility works really well. I genuinely think it holds up so strongly. And of course there is a Stan Lee cameo, which was also great to see. And the other thing I do want to shout out in the soundtrack is they use a song called Newts by Sum 41 in the scene where Johnny Storm is skiing down the mountain. I love Sum 41, and it was so cool as a kid hearing their song in this movie. And while there is a post-credit scene, so to speak, in which, you know, it's revealed that Doctor Doom may still be alive, this movie, rewatching it, took me back to this other time, this other era, where not everything was part of like a big universe, like what superhero movies are now, which is okay. I like that. I've enjoyed the MCU, right? But what I liked about this was it just felt like its own little story. There wasn't anyone else. It was just the Fantastic Four. And there was no, oh, now Spider-Man's here or Thor's here. And that's not to say I wouldn't want to watch a Spider-Man Fantastic Four movie, because I totally would. So MCU, fingers are crossed. But having a movie that was just a superhero movie confined in its own world, kind of like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, and this movie does feel a lot like it's from that era as the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, I guess because it was. That felt good. It didn't feel like there was any information I was missing or I needed to know a bunch of stuff from another movie, and I kind of miss that. And overall, I love the cheesiness of this movie. It's really great, especially when the Thing says it's clobbering time. I think that's an iconic moment, and that's got to come out again in the MCU. And if you haven't watched Fantastic Four in a long time, I recommend you watch it again with some open eyes and really try to see it for what it was. A great superhero movie of its time, and I will never back down from that opinion. And now, flame on. Oh, no, I don't have that superpower. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Go and check out a bunch of my other videos. I do pop culture content on this channel all the time. There are shorts, there are podcasts, there are videos. Please check it out. Subscribe, comment, thumbs up, all of the stuff that you do. Support me on Patreon as well. I have 60 people supporting and it is awesome. I really appreciate it. My podcast, 20th Century Boy, is available on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcast. That's out every week. I do a bunch of stuff, including a blog. All the links are in the description to this podcast. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Leave me a comment so I know you're here, yeah? Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you soon.